Away from that, South Africa has seen an increase in kidnapping cases in the 2023-2024 fiscal year, and although a broader range of people are being targeted, women and children remain at a higher risk. The motives behind the kidnappings vary from ransom, human trafficking, and extortion. The recent report has indicated that more than 15,000 cases were reported in Gauteng, and with Gauteng garnering 7,000 reported cases, followed by KwaZulu-Natal. Meanwhile, the World Population Review ranked South Africa 6th country with highest number of kidnappings in the world. Now, to discuss this, I'm joined by Clinical Director, Teddy Bear Foundation, Shaheda Omar, and Senior Training Coordinator, Institute for Security Studies, Williem Els. Thank you so much for joining me, gentleman and lady. All right, let's start with you, Williem. Now, can you provide a current overview of the kidnapping trend in South Africa, including demographics of victims?
Yes, as you mentioned, that there's been a tremendous spike in kidnappings in South Africa. We see that over the last decade, the kidnappings in South Africa increased by 260%. So that is through the roof. And what we see is that in Gauteng, 15 of the 23 hotspots that the police have declared where there are a lot of hijackings and kidnaps are actually in Gauteng, where the majority of the people of South Africa is also living. It's a small province, very densely populated. That's also the economic hub of the country. That is followed by KwaZulu-Natal and followed also by the Western Cape.
All right, over to you, Shaheda. Let's hear what do you think are the underlying factors contributing to the rise in kidnappings, especially for children in South Africa?
Well, I think firstly we need to appreciate and recognize that children are a marginalized and population group. They're the most vulnerable. They're not in a position to protect themselves. They are defenseless, powerless, and therefore they are a soft target. And then if we look at the bigger picture, the landscape, that kidnappings is a lucrative industry, and organized syndicates, crime syndicates are going that route because they know that regardless of whether people have the money or not, it's not only people in affluent circles, but even your middle class families are subjected to this, because there's the scenario of opportunistic kidnappings, and then there's express kidnapping. So there are different, situations that we need to understand. And the reason why children are being targeted simply because children, are in that high risk population group. Unfortunately, we are finding that at least on a daily basis. So it's just not the kidnapping. I think we need to look at the bigger picture, where we are finding that at least 3 children are being murdered on a daily basis. And of course, you look at the organ harvesting, the muti killings, all of that contributing to this. So there's extremities. We're finding there's cases of murder, but cases of children disappearing, cases of children returning or being returned or coming back voluntarily. But if we look at how many cases that have not been accounted for, there are cold cases and they are still not accounted for. Unfortunately, this is the situation, the grave situation that South Africa is currently faced with.
All right. Now, Williem, Shaheda did say that, this act of kidnapping is actually a very lucrative industry. What are the most common methods that kidnappers actually use in South Africa, and how have these methods evolved over time?
Yes, what we see is you've got different types of kidnappings, as you just mentioned. In the first place, your organized syndicates, they are extremely organized. They are well situated. They normally would compromise an actor, insider, to find out the amounts of money that they can take for ransom, etc. Also about the movements of their targets. And we see that in the majority of the cases, it is normally a group of 3 to 4 of these kidnappers. They're well armed, and the kidnapping take place normally close to your work or close to your home. So those are your kidnapped for ransom. They normally go up. There was one kidnapping where, according to our information, up to 150 million rand has been paid in that case. But it goes a bit as low as a few hundred rands. As you mentioned, the express kidnappings. We see a lot of hijackings in South Africa, carjackings, and then what they do is they would then take the kidnapped the victim to an ATM and force the victim to clean out his or her accounts. Or what they do is they take them to a secure, safe house that they have. And there they will threaten the victim and take the victim's phone, and then via his phone clear out all his accounts. Or what they do is they would call the families of this kidnapped person to also transfer some money for them.
Okay. Now, let's come back to you, Shaheda. I remember earlier you saying that, of course, children do not have the capacity to protect themselves or defend themselves from, their kidnappers. But how do you think that the kidnapping epidemic in South Africa is affecting children's sense of safety and well-being, considering the rise and also the evolution?
Well, I think if we look at the current situation, we are seeing a lot of children who are manifesting signs of anxiety and depression, and cases where this has not been identified timeously. We are even seeing children who have attempted suicide and completed suicide. So you can see the mental health of children has been compromised. If we look at this past decade, more and more children and younger children are so fearful. They are surrounded by fear, aware of risky situations and dangerous situations, where previously children were quite free to play outside, ride bicycles on the street, kick ball on the street. However, what we are finding that children are now definitely more aware of the environment. They have been informed, and hopefully we continue to inform them and conscientize them around their protection and safety. So unfortunately, children are not in a good space, in a safe space, or in a trusting space, and therefore children are faced and stricken with anxiety.
All right, well, considering that South Africa is actually ranking 6th highest, for kidnappings globally, we do hope that something is actually done to, bring down that ranking, and also if it can be excommunicated altogether, it will be fantastic. But thank you so much, Williem, Shaheda, for joining us on the show today.
You're welcome.
Thank you.